All right, we're alive. All right, welcome to the stream, everyone. And as you can see, I have a guest with me, Quinlan Voss, or Brennan as he goes by. He has kindly agreed to join me on this journey about talking about Attack of the Clones. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this film. It's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, it's exciting. All right, so first up, we'll just talk about your favorite aspect of Attack of the Clones.
My favorite aspect of Attack of the Clones. We talked a little bit backstage, and I think what I mentioned then is what I would give as my favorite aspect of the film. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. It's the thing that's super obvious about Attack of the Clones. The Battle of Geonosis is, I think, like it's the climax of the movie, and it's the most. It's probably the coolest battle in maybe all of Star Wars for just its grandeur, its scale. I always loved that scene so much as a kid, and I still love it to this day. Just seeing all the colors, the rainbow colors of all of the Jedi lightsabers activating as they rush into battle in the Colosseum. It was just mind blowing, and it's still just so cool. It's probably all of the Geonosis scenes in the third act are definitely probably my favorite part of the Attack of the Clones film.
Yeah, I think once all the characters get on Geonosis, that's where the movie really gets interesting. And
yeah,
but the Obi-Wan mystery throughout the Camino and all that I like too. So yeah,
solid battle with Jango as well on the platforms near the end.
Yeah, Jango's such a cool character.
Totally.
Yeah, I've always preferred him over Boba Fett.
I think I do too.
Yeah,
I think I do too. Yeah, he's just well, he has more to do definitely in the films themselves than Boba did. But in terms of the EU too, I think I like Jango's stories a bit more.
Yeah.
Surrounding tie-in media like Bounty Hunter or Jango Fett Open Seasons, for example, just to name a couple. The Jango Fett comic book, yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. All right. Let's see, what else? Oh, well. Yeah. I feel like Attack of the Clones, you can kind of split it into three different stories. You've got the murder mystery about who's trying to kill Padme. Then you've got protecting Padme with Anakin on Naboo and all that. And then you've got the beginning of the Clone Wars. So yeah.
I think that I really like the tone of the movie, how it starts on Coruscant. Coruscant is just such a vibe. It just feels so distinct, and it feels like there's so much going on Coruscant. It feels like there's so many stories on Coruscant. It feels vast. The scene where Anakin and Obi-Wan are pursuing Zam Wesell, the start of the attempted assassination mystery that you alluded to. Just that scene where they're zipping through the sky, the space lanes, I guess, of Coruscant, the speeder chase there. It's just mind blowing how vast Coruscant feels, and I just think that's a really cool aspect of the film. That's like the first part, and then a little bit of the murder mystery like continues through the second arc with just Obi-Wan kind of tailing off, and like you said, we spend a lot of time on Naboo on the Anakin Padme love plot, which I do think is maybe the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Would you say so?
I would agree with that.
And then kind of those two separate threads like collide again at the end for the formation of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that it can kind of be split into those different sections.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Now, I will say that the novelization, I feel like, did a better job of the romance stuff because it gives more time for that to help develop and flesh out.
And there's a scene where he gets to meet the parents too in the novel, right?
Yeah, that's a deleted scene in the movie.
In the film, yeah. It was Salvatore who wrote the novel, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he also wrote Vector Prime for the NJO, and then a lot of people have joked, maybe it's true, that R.A. Salvatore got extreme backlash because he wrote, well, I'll say spoilers, he wrote the death of a major character
Yeah.
that was big in the newspapers, even covered it, even got death threats in the mail, apparently. So some people have said that him being hired to write the Attack of the Clones novel was almost like an apology from Lucasfilm and kind of doubling down on him and saying, hey, he's our guy. It's all right. We're going to let him write a movie novelization, which I think is interesting if true.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was a good novelization.
Yeah. I think the best of the prequel novelizations is probably Revenge of the Sith, but Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace ones are perfectly serviceable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I enjoyed them a little bit more than the original trilogy ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's more new stuff in the prequel trilogy novelizations.
Yeah.
One thing in particular is the Tusken scene is written a bit differently, a bit expanded upon. We get to get really into Anakin's mind, and you can kind of understand why he did those atrocities a bit more, like how that snap happens a bit more with the context of the novel. I think it feels less like whiplash, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's one nice thing about the novelization is it lets some things that needed to breathe have a little bit more time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It takes the time to flesh out some of those events, make it a little less jarring. Like you said, the romance stuff is definitely better in the novel.
Yeah. All right. Well, this movie introduced some interesting characters to Star Wars, with Jango Fett, obviously, and Count Dooku.
Yeah.
And, some other cool alien Jedi that we see for the first time. And, so who's your favorite of the new characters that were introduced in this movie?
Kit Fisto's a cool one. He gets expanded upon a lot in Tartakovsky's Clone Wars 2003. He becomes prominent in Revenge of the Sith. Well, kind of prominent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Prominent for 2 swings of a lightsaber, at least.
Yep.
And and then in TCW, he's in there as well. Filoni's one. And prominent in the EU later on. He became a pretty popular character.
Yeah.
Probably just because of his interaction with C-3PO during the Battle of Geonosis. But
yeah,
I always liked him.
Smile.
His infamous smile, absolutely. His beady eyes. He's fun. He's just visually fun. He looks like the Predator if the Predator was in Star Wars,
Yeah.
And I think so. He's one of the ones I'd highlight. Django's, of course, really cool. I was never a huge fan of Count Dooku. I don't know if that's kind of sacrilegious to say. He was always probably one of the weaker. He's probably my least favorite Sith as depicted in the films.
Yeah.
Which is no fault to Christopher Lee. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
I just feel he kind of comes out of nowhere in the context of the films. The EU does a better job with him, I think, than the films. But one other one that I'd highlight is Zam Wesell or Weasel. I said Zam Weasel when I was a kid, but now I say Wesell. I'm not sure what's right, but shapeshifters in Star Wars is a pretty cool concept in a galaxy far, far away. And so I enjoyed what we saw of the character. I thought the Claudites are pretty cool. And so it was a cool concept that was introduced. And her costuming is pretty cool, too.
Yeah, pretty cool. Always nice to get some new bounty hunters.
Definitely.
And things like that. So, yeah.
Who are some of your favorite characters that were introduced for the first time in Attack of the Clones?
Oh, well, Kit Fisto, obviously. That's an obvious one. Jango Fett, he's probably one of my favorite bounty hunters.
Yeah.
I like Dooku, but it might just be because I like Christopher Lee, but it looks cool.
Yeah, the curved lightsaber hilt is iconic.
Yeah. It would have been cool to see Jedi Dooku in like Phantom Menace. If only we could have got that. That would have been awesome.
It would have felt a little less jarring if they'd even set up like a scene where it shows us him being dissatisfied, Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Dexter Jetster. Another cool alien guy. Runs a diner. Yeah, that's awesome.
The first four-armed is he the first four-armed Star Wars character? I guess we had Gasgano and Phantom, but he predates General Grievous for multi-limbed Star Wars species, I would suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. pretty interesting character. Yeah. Yeah.
His diner, it looks always to me like a place I'd want to go eat. Did you feel
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah. That would be fun. If only there was a theme park that you could Star Wars themed park that you could go into some of these cool places.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
With Dexter, I bet he could make a mean bantha slider. Like that would be delicious, mouth watering even. And the what is it, Jawa juice?
Yeah. Something like that.
Sounds delectable for sure.
Yeah.
The droid waitresses are fun, and I think that we almost have the technology at present where we could make waiters that are robotic like that. You know,
Yeah. We probably could do something like that.
Japan has robotic waiters, so probably
Yeah.
in the next few years we could create something conceivably similar. It would be pretty
Yeah.
neat.
We're just missing the alien owner.
Yeah, we need to find a four-armed guy stat.
Yep. Yep. All right. Let's move on to creatures. So,
Ooh, yeah,
yeah, obviously you've got the ones in the arena with the Acklay and the Nexu and the Reek.
of course.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite creature in this movie?
I always liked the Nexu the best. I always thought the Nexu was the coolest. Probably followed by Acklay was probably least for me of the three there. Design wise,
Mhm.
the noise it made was a little harsh on the ears as well, which
Yeah.
might be why it's slower. But I always thought the Nexu was super threatening and visually really cool as well.
Yeah.
Another animal in this was the shack animals on Naboo that
Yeah.
Anakin falls off.
Hmm.
Those things always look delicious to me. Again, Dexter could probably make a mean burger with some of those things, you know?
Yeah.
What's your favorite of the creatures in the arena?
The Acklay.
The Acklay, okay.
Yeah. I'm basically the opposite. Like the Nexu's probably my least favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And I'm drawing a blank on the name of the other one right now. What is it again?
the Reek.
The Reek, of course. And so the Reek, what I find interesting about the Reek that some of the EU acknowledged is Reeks are naturally more of a green color, but
Mhm.
the ones that are fed meat turn red. So
Oh.
the Geonosians have been feeding that Reek meat, and they're herbivores. So they've turned it into a carnivorous animal, which is making it a different coloration and also angrier, which
Mhm.
I think is a kind of cool detail from the EU. One other thing I remembered though is there's also like the dogs, the Geonosian dogs that are
Yeah.
there too, and I think there's some dogs with the Tuscans, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I thought those designs were pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars always has awesome creatures, I feel like.
Definitely. Right back to the original days with A New Hope.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty great stuff. All right. All right. Well, let's move on to favorite scenes of Attack of the Clones. You can go first.
Favorite scenes. Well, I think the Battle of Geonosis is an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
As probably one of the best scenes. I like the speeder chase on Coruscant with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Jedi business. Go back to your drinks. I like
Mm-hmm.
the battle between Jango, Boba, and Obi-Wan on Camino, where he's dangling off the side and fighting Jango there in the rain. That's just such a good
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
The space battle with the great sound of the sonic booms that
Yeah.
go off. They
Oh,
sound
yeah.
amazing, don't they?
Yeah.
They're just so perfect when they register in your ears. That battle through the mine, the asteroid belt was really cool. The
Mm-hmm.
lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin and Dooku, I think
Mm-hmm.
that fight, for how brief it was, may have been even cooler than the Yoda Dooku fight. But I know I'm in the minority on that. I like how it ties into Revenge of the Sith with this time we'll take him together.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat. I like the clones' arrival when
Yeah.
they come down in the gunships and the Jedi are saved from the arena. That's of course amazing too. You've got to love Yoda embarrassing Obi-Wan in front of all the Padawans too.
Yeah.
Lost a planet, Master Obi-Wan has. How embarrassing. That line is immortal probably in Star Wars lore and quite
Yeah.
fun as well. There's just
Hmm.
as I think about it, there's just so many great scenes in the film.
Yeah.
I'll
Pretty
I'll
much.
stop talking before I just recount the whole film, you know.
Yeah. 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 Probably my stuff I would say is the Geonosian arena. You've got the creatures that are supposed to execute Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme. And then, when the clones arrive and they have this epic battle with all the Jedi and the droids and all that stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, Jango versus Obi-Wan on Camino is a great scene. And then the bounty hunter pursuit on Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably the highlights of the movie for me.
As far
So,
as scenes go too, I feel this is a worthy successor to Mos Eisley's with the Outlander Club. I thought that while it's not as good as the Mos Eisley Cantina scene,
mhm,
it's I only like think about movies 1 to 6 when I think about Star Wars films, and so
yeah,
aside from Mos Eisley, it's really the only other Cantina-esque scene in Star Wars. So
yeah,
I really enjoy the Outlander Club scene. Maybe there were a few too many humans, but it is on Coruscant
yeah,
in the galactic center of the galaxy. But I would
hmm,
have loved to see maybe a couple more aliens. But as far as it went, we even got robotic football on the holo screens.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
pretty fun overall at the end
yeah,
of
yeah.
that bounty chase scene that you just talked about.
Hmm. Yeah, you've got all those screens of different like sports and things like
Yes,
that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Nuna
Yeah,
Ball was one of them. It's fun.
yeah. I mean, the last time I watched the movie, I was paying attention to that scene to see like, oh, if is there any like really weird, cool aliens? And there's one or two, but yeah, there's tons of humans in there. So, but
Definitely.
makes sense.
I was just reading through the comments here. There's
Hmm.
been a couple people. Someone said
Hmm.
that Dexter's hilarious, and Only Good
Hmm.
Games said makes me think of Padme's jump scene where she jumps from high and doesn't break anything. That is really
Oh
funny. She
yeah,
jumps from the top of that like column right
yeah,
onto the reek,
yeah,
and somehow doesn't break her legs or her pelvis or any of that. That
yeah.
would
That's
surely
always been like, you can't do that.
no way. How
It probably
cushioned
wouldn't
is the
feel good
reek's
if you did that in
back?
real life. Oh,
No. Apparently,
yeah.
we can just headcanon in that the reeks have extremely soft upper backs, and
Hmm.
that's what saved her, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I
We've
don't
also
know.
got this comment. I like the scene where Dooku tells Obi-Wan the truth and he doesn't listen.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind of funny. Well,
that
to be
little
fair to Obi-Wan, he woke up in a new environment, probably didn't know where he was
yeah,
confused.
yeah. And plus they view Dooku as a traitor, and why are we going to listen to you?
Yep.
And plus it is kind of an outlandish thing to say that, oh, by the way, the Republic is ruled by your arch enemy.
Yeah. And that wouldn't necessarily mean chancellor. That could mean senators.
True.
Um, it could mean allies. It
Yeah,
could mean someone behind the chancellor,
yeah.
maybe
Like an aide.
lobbyists or funders. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. What else we got? Oh, all right. Yep. Well, got to talk about the Clone Wars.
Of course.
Something that uh, is awesome to see. Get to see the beginning of it and all those awesome shots on Geonosis of the clones just going to town on the droids.
Taking care of business.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Regarding the clones and Boba Fett being a clone, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, because that's a reveal that changed past EU stories
Hmm.
with Boba, past depictions of Boba even. Um, I think that overall it's good. I don't mind that Boba's a clone. It's maybe a little weird for some people, but Boba's a man of mystery,
Yeah.
and I think it makes sense that he had an interesting and weird origin.
Hmm.
Um, for a man of mystery. And I think that it's easy to explain away the inconsistencies with earlier EU media because he's such a man of mystery that no one's going to know where he came from. So all of the speculation about his past and who the man is behind the mask is going to lead to so many tales and so much gossip about who he is, where did he come from. People are going to fabricate entire backstories for him in the universe. So I think that
Yeah.
you can kind of reconcile away any weird, seemingly tonally inconsistent depictions of Boba with what the prequels revealed from prior EU media. If you just look at it as people are gossiping about who is this guy, he's pretty crazy. Overall, for him being a clone, I don't take issue with it like some people do. It's not like, yes, this is the best thing ever, but I'm not like mortified about it either, I guess. I think it's fine. I think the
Yeah.
relationship between Django and Boba was actually done pretty well.
Yeah.
It feels like Django really cares about Boba, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What what do you think
It's never
about it?
bothered me too much, but I grew up with him, so you know, I was like, oh, cool. That's how Boba Fett started
Yeah.
out. Awesome. Yeah.
I thought the young actor who played him too did a really good job.
Yeah. Did a
In
good
more
job.
recent
Yeah.
years, I've seen some flack that he had gotten from some people where they're like, but I thought he did pretty good as far as child actors
Yeah.
go. I thought
Well,
he was good.
some people always take issue with child actors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
It's the
course.
way things are.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did his job. Yeah.
The scene at the end of him picking up the helmet is um, always pretty heart wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
It's done pretty well.
Yeah.
Just in the shadow of the arena like that. It's good setup too for a lot of stuff. And as far as the Clone Wars go, something I always think about the movie is um, this is the start of the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Begun the Clone Wars has.
Mm-hmm.
It was a victory, but it's just the start to a war. How did you picture the Clone Wars to go after that? Because immediately my young mind is picturing tons of battles on tons of planets. It's going to be crazy. And Jendi Tartakovsky's Clone Wars really sold that to me. The
Mm-hmm.
Republic comics really sold that to me. Filoni's Clone Wars, even at times,
Yeah.
sold that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you see what you pictured for the Clone Wars fulfilled as set up in Attack of the Clones by future movies or by future media?
For the most part, I think some things do a better job than others. Like Gendy
Yeah,
Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. You could basically just that's the Clone Wars movie. It's like 2.5 hours to watch it all.
yeah,
It's essentially a movie, and you get all the cool Clone Wars stuff in it. I think that works really good. Yeah. Um,
totally agreed.
yeah. Yeah. There's some stuff in the Clone Wars that does a good job with like battles and stuff like that. So yeah, but I haven't read the Republic comics yet. So
They're really good. You're in for a treat, man.
yeah, I
They're
know.
amazing.
I've heard so much good stuff about it. So I can't wait to
The
get to it.
one thing that this makes me think of though with the Republic comics is Quinlan Voss is a big part of that run, and the Attack of the Clones comic book establishes that Quinlan Voss was at the Battle of Geonosis. He's one of the
Hmm.
survivors
Oh,
there. He was fighting in the stands, so
oh,
not out on the arena floor, but he was present at the battle, which I think is pretty cool to
yeah,
know that he was there at least.
yeah,
Fighting
that's cool.
alongside Isla.
Yeah, always great to find and learn more about the Star Wars. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Is there any other things that stood out with the movie? Am I forgetting anything important? Oh, I guess we could talk about planets.
Yeah.
This movie introduces some new planets. Which one do you like best?
Hmm. They're all very different and varied,
Mm-hmm.
which is well done. We returned to Naboo and basically saw pretty much, I'd say, the same thing we saw in the first one. We
Mm-hmm.
saw kind of an old style of architecture
Yeah.
with a priority on nature, grasslands, lake houses, all of that.
Yeah.
Old rock buildings, etc. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what era I'd call it, but it feels very like Italian or maybe Greek.
Yeah.
in its vibe. And Naboo's still pretty and still seems
Hmm.
like a cool place to go.
Yeah.
Coruscant is a great vibe. I feel like Coruscant's done better in the second one than in the first one.
Yeah.
Uh,
We get to see more of it.
Absolutely, we got to go to the Uskru entertainment sector with the Outlander Club, which
Yeah.
is right on the fringe of the underworld. So got to
Hmm.
see the shady nightlife of Coruscant. We got to see Dexter's, Chancellor Palpatine's beautiful room that overviews the skyline is just
Yeah.
so cool. The Jedi Temple, which we got to delve into, the Jedi
Yeah.
Archives,
Yeah.
the Council Chamber. There's so much to unpack in just Coruscant alone
Hmm.
before you move on to other places. I think Attack of the Clones is Coruscant better than any of the other movies in the prequels, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I think because Revenge of the Sith basically just goes back to those same environments that
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones introduces to. As far as Camino goes, a water world in Star Wars is awesome. We
Hmm.
got the Iwas, which was a creature we didn't mention. The
Hmm.
Kaminoans have great visual appeal
Yeah.
for their species. I was confused at first. I was like, why has no one ever heard of these? Yariel Poof is on the council, but Cormians and
Yeah.
Kaminoans are not the same species, as I would
Yeah.
later find out. And then
Hmm.
Geonosis is basically the antithesis of Camino, water
Yeah.
world, desert world. And so
Hmm.
the various backdrops, we'd never seen a water world or a desert world in Star Wars before. Well, Tatooine. So never mind.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
It's a different kind
It's
of
different.
desert.
It's like rocky.
Yeah.
It's more rather than barren desert, it's more like I'd say mountainous desert. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
is kind of how I'd describe it. We did return to Tatooine, which I had almost neglected to mention. And Tatooine still feels like Tatooine.
Yeah.
Tatooine never changes. But so we got a lot of different aesthetics, I guess, is
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say for the movie. And there's a lot of cool locations. Probably Geonosis is where I'd point to for the best um, planet, the best location, the best vibe, the best aesthetic for the movie.
Hmm.
But Coruscant is also really, really good, and Camino's pretty good too. What
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's always cool to see new, fresh planets
Yeah,
and to explore different areas of different planets, if or of planets that we've already been to. If you're going to go to the same planet, at least show us something different. And
definitely.
I feel like for the most part, the prequels do that. Camino,
Yeah,
awesome, and yeah, Geonosis, we get introduced to some bug aliens. Different, and
yeah.
yeah,
The scene
so
where they pop out of the caves, hanging upside down to attack
yeah,
Anakin. That
yeah,
gave me the heebie-jeebies when I first watched that as a kid. I was like, ugh, that's nasty. What are
yeah,
these things? The
yeah,
whole droid factory scene is pretty fun too. If not feeling a little unrealistic for what all of this equipment is for,
yeah.
um, it definitely is cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
the scene.
yeah,
It always had my heart pumping when I was a kid watching that, worried
yeah,
that they were gonna get crushed by all this machinery. It's very different than
yeah.
anything else we saw in Star Wars too.
Hmm. Yeah, which is always nice. We're not doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Pretty great. Let's see. Yeah. Well, let's look at some more comments. So we got after playing Bounty Hunter a while back, I appreciate Django more. Need to buy the comic series. Forget its name off the top.
Open seasons, I
Yep.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Bounty Hunter's fun. I'm playing through it right now, and
The Switch release or the which new release? Because then they
it's on I got it on Xbox.
nice.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
original version of the game and everything. Nice.
Yeah. It's well, I suck at games, so it's kind of hard. So,
I suck at games
but
too.
yeah,
I
but it's
cannot play games to save my
yeah,
life. I make the Force Unleashed look hard.
yeah. But it fleshes out Django, which is pretty cool. It's always nice
Amari
to flesh out.
Vasa's pretty cool too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see, we got this. Attack of the Clones might be a bad movie, But Geonosis Sandstorm fight went crazy. Oh yes, all that. Yeah,
It did. I would disagree that Attack of the Clones is a bad movie. Personally, I think it's really good. It's it still might be my favorite of the prequels. That or Revenge of the Sith for
yeah.
me. I really like it. It used to be my favorite of all six, but
Uh-huh.
since then I've learned the error of my ways, and Return of the Jedi is now my number one. But Attack of the Clones stays nestled neatly in that two spot. I think for me, two or three.
Uh-huh.
I really like it.
Okay.
It's actually my most watched Star Wars movie. When I was a kid, I
Yeah.
wanted to watch nothing but the Geonosis battle in
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones.
It's good stuff.
So
Good
good.
stuff.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite of the six? Where does Attack of the Clones place in there for you?
Attack of the Clones. Well, before I recently rewatched it, I probably would have put it at the end, but I rewatched it and I'm like, I like this movie.
Yeah, it's
My
good.
only real issue with it is probably the romance stuff.
Same.
But really, like, yeah, it's in there, but like, I think there's enough of the other stuff that's like, I could overlook that. But so if I had to rank it right now, I don't know, fourth or fifth, probably still.
Nice.
Yeah, Revenge
So
of the Sith
which
is.
one got bumped down for you?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to.
It's
Sometimes
hard to
my
differentiate.
ranking changes all the time.
Yeah.
Although Revenge of the Sith is top dog.
Always.
Well, it probably switches sometimes with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Those two
Yeah,
are kind of locked on the top, and then the rest is like shifting sands, kind of.
pretty much. Yeah,
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 that's understandable. That's
yeah.
kind of how my list tends to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, did we miss anything important about any important scenes or anything?
Um, there's a lot of good scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Um, I really always liked the concept of the Lost 20 that
Oh,
was brought up
yes.
to us in the Jedi Temple, and I wish that the EU had gone into that a lot more than it did, because it
Yeah.
was an interesting idea. What do you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, these 20 Jedi that leave the Order, and you know, um, is there any stories that flesh out any of those characters at all?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a missed opportunity.
For sure. There's
Huh.
one of the busts that's in the film in the hallway um, is named, and we have a
Hmm.
brief paragraph about them, but not really more than that. I think some fans have tried to interpolate or yeah, kind of interpolate. Is that a word? I might be thinking of
Interpret?
it.
Extrapolate?
Extrapolate. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
I was combining interpret and extrapolate into a beautiful new word. We're
Yeah.
word crafting together here. But so yeah, to extrapolate, fans have taken possible candidates for the Lost 20. I've
Hmm.
seen some lists where people are like, well, maybe Ulick's in there.
Hmm.
Maybe he's in that hallway. Maybe Yaddle's Jedi Master is in
Hmm.
there, the one who lost himself to the dark side and trying to get revenge for his own Jedi Master on a war-torn planet.
Hmm.
There's been some fan lists of like who were the Lost 20, who could have been in there, like theoretically speaking. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty cool. I think we can. I would say Ulick Keldrum is probably in there. Maybe.
Yeah.
I could see it. Maybe Exar Kun's in there. We didn't see the whole hallway.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'd like to think that the EU did show us some candidates, I guess, who you could consider as being in there. What do you think? Do you think they could be in there or not?
It's possible.
Yeah,
We only see what, like, well,
maybe
you
six of
see a
them.
few, but you don't see them in any real detail. They're
Yeah,
just blobs, basically. You can't really see
basically.
any.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
We
Well.
probably only saw maybe half of them overall.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, what a shame. We could have got stories. Just like I
yeah,
always felt like a a missed opportunity is like, why didn't we ever get like a Dooku novel that's like about Dooku? I know we got Yoda Dark Rendezvous, but
Yeah.
that's it's a Yoda novel,
Yep.
and also it follows those other Jedi characters in it
Yeah.
too.
I really liked Yoda
Um,
Dark Rendezvous. I think maybe it's a side topic, but Yoda Dark Rendezvous is a really good sequel to Attack of the Clones, in my
mhm,
opinion. It has great scenes in the before Attack of the Clones, and it follows up greatly on the events. There's some really
mhm,
fun scenes in there. I really like the young Jedi like Wee Mauru and Scout,
yeah,
uh, Taluzbeth and Wandong Esterhazy, as is her very long name,
yeah,
famously long name. But
yeah,
the scenes with Dooku and Yoda are just really tender and sweet, which really
yeah,
caught me off guard
yeah,
about the novel. And it so shows what a missed opportunity it was for there could have been a Dooku novel
yeah,
before Attack of the Clones in the EU.
yeah,
Missed opportunity. Sean Stewart writes Dooku really well too,
yeah.
which does the EU makes me appreciate the character more than I had appreciated him in the film.
Hmm.
I would say
That happens when you read some of the books and stuff like that.
for sure.
Yeah, it makes reading the books worth it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It just I feel like it elevates the movies.
Hmm.
It just makes cool stories even cooler, and
Yeah,
sometimes it even exceeds the movies and how good they are, in my
yeah,
opinion. Which is kind of crazy to say, but it's just kind of how I feel when you spend so much time with some of these characters in these pages. It just I don't know. It's just like a whole nother world beyond the films that just enhances it so much.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's transition to uh, deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to watch some or
I've seen a
most? Or
couple of them. I saw the scene of Padme talking to her father, and is it their garden estate? It's like outside of a house.
yeah, something like
Uh,
that. Hmm.
yeah, and I saw that conversation, which I thought was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I don't recall any other deleted scene. What are some of the other ones from the film? I
Well,
watched those ones, but I don't recall how many other ones there are.
yeah,
I've seen clips here and there of some like short lightsaber moments that would have been in the Geonosis arena that got chopped out or left out,
yeah,
like some of the like fighting on the blue screen in costume.
yeah.
But I don't think I've seen much beyond that.
Well, there's a decent amount. There's one where Padme addresses the Senate just after her assassination attempt at the
Oh,
beginning of the
that's cool.
movie. Yeah. Then there's one with in the Jedi analysis room with Obi-Wan getting the dart analyzed
Oh, okay,
before he
gotcha.
goes to Dexter. Yeah.
That would have
Then
been a
there's a
cool
scene.
scene to keep in too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm I'm a proponent of it'd be nice to get a, Star Wars extended edition on all six. That'd be awesome.
That would
Just like
be really cool, just like
yeah, just
Lord of
like
the Rings, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'd be all about that. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you have a Obi-Wan and Mace Windu scene where it's just before he leaves to go to Camino, and they're basically talking about Camino and that Anakin isn't ready to be on his own on a mission and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then
kind of similar to the like Obi-Wan Typho interaction, perhaps, as they're
yeah,
watching them leave.
similar. Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
probably
then
why
you've
they
got the
left it out
stuff.
because it's kind
Yeah,
of similar ground, right?
yeah. So and I found that sometimes that they had a few scenes that served the same purpose, and they just decided to combine those scenes to save on time.
Mm.
Yep. Then you have the scenes at Padme's parents' house.
Yeah, I saw
Yep.
those ones. I thought those should have been left in
Oh
because
yeah.
it made the romantic it made the romantic aspects of the movie feel more compelling to me to have met the family. It felt like a Hallmark movie almost. If that had been left in.
Yeah, that's true. They kind of have some of that vibe in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Um yeah, but you also in those scenes you learn more about Padme's backstory, which I
Yeah.
feel like is important because, she's an important character to to the saga, and I wouldn't have
Most
been
definitely.
opposed to learn more about her character. So yeah. Then you have Dooku interrogating Padme on Geonosis, and
At
then
what
a scene
point?
related to that is
At what
where
point would he
Anakin
have
and
done
Padme
that?
are put on trial.
Oh, right before that.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
that would have been interesting to see. What was the tone of that scene? Did it feel menacing? Did Dooku feel uh, terrifying?
Yeah, it's very similar to the scene with Obi-Wan
Okay,
and Dooku.
same kind of
Um,
suspension thing.
yeah, well, they decided to delete that scene and do the Obi-Wan and Dooku scene instead because it serves kind of the same purpose where it's basically Dooku's like, oh, I could release Obi-Wan if Naboo were to join the Separatists, basically,
Okay,
and
that that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's cool, but I don't think you could add that in now since that
No,
other scene basically serves the same purpose.
it's interesting. Like maybe Dooku said that to her at one point before they got wheeled out, but
Yeah,
I don't know. The Obi-Wan one's definitely the more interesting one. A Jedi to Jedi conversation, you know?
yeah, and it's always interesting because Dooku is Qui-Gon's master, and
Yep.
Qui-Gon is Obi-Wan's master, so it's interesting to see kind of their dynamic
Yeah, the
in
lineage.
that. So
I guess isn't it Nakata Del Gormo to Yoda to Dooku to Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan to Anakin to I guess Ahsoka. Is that kind of the
yeah, something
lineage
like
as it
that.
goes
Yeah,
down? Yeah.
yeah,
It's cool to see the generations, like you said. Yeah.
yeah. It's cool. Then there's the scene with the Lost 20 where Obi-Wan is looking at Dooku's bust, and they talk a little bit about that, which that scene should have been left in.
Definitely.
It's
I,
cool.
I have seen that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
One thing that the movie does well is I feel like Dooku really actually does care about Qui-Gon.
yes,
I get that sense,
yeah,
which does humanize the character a lot more.
yeah, yeah,
Also,
yeah,
the Sifo Dyas name drops are an interesting aspect of the film. My
yeah,
family was always so confused by that. I feel like only Darth Plagueis does a good job of contextualizing what exactly went on with all of that. Because I feel like it's so fuzzy in the film.
yeah,
ECW only makes it even more fuzzy.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but the Plagueis novel, I feel, really does a good job in explaining what was Sifo Dyas even on about. Like,
yeah,
what was his story? What was up with that guy? You know,
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's a good book.
really good book. It makes the
Yeah,
entire prequels just feel so much more like there's so much more going on. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
And every time
whoa,
I've reread it, it more just stands out because
yes,
I read more of the EU, and it's like this book gets better each time.
yeah, I know it
Yeah,
connects to so much. I honestly, it's best served as being read almost after almost everything else because of
yeah,
just how much it connects to. Like the Mall books by Reeves,
hmm,
The Yinchuri Uprising,
hmm,
as shown in I think Acts of War, right? Yeah,
hmm,
Stark Hyperspace War mentioned, like Cloak of Deception. It
yeah,
ties into so much, and watching the prequels afterwards, it's like, whoa, I'm
yeah,
watching Plagueis's plan unfold.
yeah,
It's like chills, you know.
yeah. It's awesome. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
A scene I always forget about in Attack of the Clones is the Confederacy of Independent Systems, the CIS, the
hmm,
Separatists. They have a meeting on Geonosis with
hmm,
Poggle and Newt Gunray returns from Phantom, and
hmm.
it's just as annoying in this one. Um, and we had San Hill of the Banking Clan.
Yep.
We had Wat Tambor, who we saw for the first time,
Hmm,
who would be prominent in Gendy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars
hmm.
thereafter. Who else was in there? We had that. Oh, we had Shu Mei, the
Yeah,
little
the
one.
Gosm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I always thought her design was really weird.
yeah,
There's a couple lesser known ones in there too. There's the dude who looks like a wolf who's like really furry with the teeth.
yeah.
I think that's mostly it, right?
I think so. There might be.
Just
one or two,
maybe a
but
couple others, yeah. But
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Those are some aliens in there that we got.
yeah, it's always nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
We got
this,
Sunfac in there as well. Poggle's like guard, his main henchman,
yeah,
staff. Yeah.
yeah, yep,
But
yeah.
sorry, you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that in this movie we get to see the Mune species for the first time, and that's
True.
Plagueis's species, which is
Yeah,
cool. I like that.
that's dope. Before
Yeah.
the name drop of the moon in Revenge of the Sith with
Mm-hmm.
Apollo.
Yeah. Man. All right.
So many memeable lines too in all of the prequels, really, but
Yeah.
in Attack of the Clones as well. There's some good
Yeah.
ones. Do you have any favorite lines that are the memed lines of the prequels?
From Attack of the Clones.
Well, one of my favorite there is when Obi-Wan's like, "That's good news," to the
Oh
Kenobi.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
to use that gift to my friends.
Yeah.
The visible confusion one's solid too.
Yeah. That's probably the one that I've seen the most from
Yeah,
Attack of the Clones.
I think so for me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've got Mace Windu saying this party's over.
That's a
Which
classic too.
you can use that for lots of things.
Lots of things, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Huh.
line delivery of that line is so good too. That's another thing we haven't talked about though. Mace Windu really
Yeah.
comes into his own here. The first purple lightsaber.
Yeah. We get to see him fight and stuff like that, which is cool.
The decapitation was brutal. I always
Yeah.
forget how brutal it is. It's probably one of the most brutal uh, combat scenes in Star Wars
Yeah.
because of the nature of the end. The shadows of the two objects separating in flight. Ooh, pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we got purple lightsabers because Samuel L. Jackson, that's his favorite color, and yeah, it's cool.
He said that otherwise he wouldn't have been able to see himself on the widescreen with all the other Jedi, which is
Yeah.
funny. Of course, purple lightsabers predate Mace Windu, though, with
Yeah.
Han Solo in the EU, Mara Jade in the EU, some
Mhm.
others, but it was the first on-screen
Yeah.
depiction of the purple lightsaber, which is pretty cool. And it
Yeah.
became iconic and synonymous with the character. And that's for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. 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 My favorite color is purple, so I have a little bit of a soft spot for Mace Windu, even though
Absolutely.
he's kind of, he's maybe not the best
Yeah,
Jedi.
he's not. You're gonna
Yeah.
love some of the scenes in the Republic, though. The Republic comics. The Republic comics, I think, is where Mace has done best.
Mm,
Um,
cool.
in the EU. So you've got some fun stuff ahead. He goes on a mission with Stacey Tin, who's also in this movie. This
Mm-hmm.
this was Stacey Tin's debut as well. Was here
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't in Phantom. I don't believe. Fisto was also who he debuted here, and Agent Kolar also debuted here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Eth Koth we only saw in Phantom, and we know that he was at the Battle of Geonosis, but we didn't
Yeah.
see him there.
Yeah.
We only saw Agent. So yeah, Agent, Stacey, Kit, and Mace team up on a mission in the Republic comics shortly after Geonosis, and
Huh.
they beat up on people, and it's just awesome. We just see how cool they can be, and
Yep.
it just makes the scene in Revenge of the Sith feel all the
Yep.
more terrifying with
When they-
how they're no longer the ones doing the beat down, but they're getting the ones
Yeah.
beat
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool Jedi in this movie, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like it so much, honestly, because I'm a Jedi
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I assume you
Same.
are as well with the name of the channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Jedi are always cool.
I like the
Yeah.
Jedi focused stories always. We
Mhm.
had some cool ones here. We saw Coleman Trebor replaced Yariel. We saw
Yeah.
Popo again briefly, but Trebor got taken out so quick. What did you think of that?
It's like, man, he's a council member. It's like you should have put up a better fight than that.
Yeah, I guess the Dino Jedis don't have very good depth perception because I feel like I could have deflected those blaster bolts,
Yeah.
But
Man.
Kiadi's there too, and we see him down on the arena floor, and Plo Koon,
Yep.
Stassa Lee, Bolter Swan, Pablo Gil made his debut here.
Yeah.
Luminara and Barris, I think, were both there too.
Shakti.
Isla Sakura made her on-screen debut from the
Yep.
EU, and Shakti.
Yep.
Yeah, the first time we saw Togruta was here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Who else did we have? We had Terados Gon. Was the Clatuinian.
Yeah.
We had Sefjet Jostle and the Kansas Tasu, with great names for the guys who threw the lightsabers to the replacement ones to Anakin and Obi-Wan. We had Roth Del Masona. He's the guy with the ponytail and the black and silver hair.
Oh, okay.
Who's in there with a we had some pretty cool folks out there. Oh, there was the dead kid on the ground was Tan Yuster. I'm delving deep into the back of my memory and trying to pull out whatever I remember left. But yeah, there's a lot of Jedi at Geonosis, and it's pretty cool. I'm sure we've forgotten a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them there.
A lot of them, yeah. A lot of them died.
Most of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sora Bulk was there too, who becomes an important character in the rest of the EU. He's a Weequay Jedi there, and yeah, he's an important one. And even the Jedi who we saw die in the movie, the EU explains that even more Jedi died. Like the EU talks about so many Jedi who they say were at Geonosis who died. It just adds more and more to the body count.
Yeah.
And you know the scene where the gunship explodes when they've made it out of the arena? One of the gunships gets hit and goes down.
Yeah.
I was always like, who was on that one? Presumably some Jedi were on there. So, well, the EU explained who was on it. Sora Bulk was on it. Eth Koth was on it. And Terados Gon was on it. The Clatuinian. Terados died. Eth and Sora survived with injuries, and it took them months to manage to get off-world. They got left behind, and they clawed their way out and managed to get off-world according to the reference material, which is a motivational reason why Sora Bulk will end up following Dooku in the following Clone Wars, because he gets a little mad about all that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And isn't there's some stuff where isn't General Grievous on Geonosis?
That's true. Yeah, there's the he was like lurking back there and he killed a Jedi. Yeah.
Kills Jedi and all that.
Forgot about that story. Yeah, that's his first Jedi kill. Was in the background on Geonosis. We just didn't know he was there.
Yeah.
In the film. Cool to know that he was hiding in the catacombs,
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool to see on screen.
Oh, would have been cool. Imagine if they'd just given us one scene of like a couple Jedi are like leaving the Colosseum. They like go into the catacombs, and all of a sudden there's this dude with these arms and lightsabers that we've never seen before, kills them, and then we cut away from that. Everyone would be like, what just happened there?
Yeah.
It would have been crazy.
Yeah, would have been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a deleted scene with Ki-Adi-Mundi and Plo Koon where they go to like a droid control ship because they still think that the droids are controlled via the ship.
Oh,
and
really?
So yeah, there's like a whole plot of them like going up there to take it out, but then they get captured.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they have dialogue and stuff too?
I think there's some. Most of it is like just like action shots of them like on the ship.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. They never like finished filming that because they cut it before they finished it all. So yeah. I think that's why in the movie you see them get pushed into the center when there's like that quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get thrown in later.
Yeah.
The EU established that some of the other Jedi who survived but had been fighting in the like stands, they like left. They'd been pushed like up and back and out, so that's why Quinlan didn't get forced into the survivors ring. There was a couple other Jedi like Thulm who was there, who survived the battle but weren't in the survivors ring. A couple of them got like pushed out of the arena itself and not down into the middle in that little ring there, which is interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
And there was an aerial battle because Adi Gallia was there. Even though we only saw Stas Ali at the battle, Adi Gallia was in a starfighter fighting above the planet with the Jedi attack squadron up there that we heard about in the EU.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
pretty much every Jedi went to fight there, you know?
Yeah.
Probably just the younglings stayed home, you know?
Yeah. And they probably had a couple Jedi stay and watch the kids while everyone else that they could spare went and fought, and most of them died.
Jocasta Nu was probably pulling her hair out and stressed out having to watch all the kids practically by herself, you know?
Yeah, well, she probably just went and found a book and just read or whatever.
She probably told them that if ice cream didn't exist in the archives, then they cannot have any, and to eat their vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jocasta Nu's a new character here, a Jedi librarian. She's kind of dumb, but
yeah,
she's a new character introduced. What did you think of her?
Yeah. Well, obviously she's wrong because Obi-Wan finds Camino, and then they re-add it to the archives.
Yeah.
And then she's, yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of dense. Camino and saber darts. They're kind of the plot MacGuffin here. The object that gets the plot rolling. What did you think of that? I thought it was a cool design and a neat way to explain how Obi-Wan was going to track down Jango.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Cool
how we had to like a third party means to figure out what it was because of the whole deleted from the archive stuff. It makes it feel like it's a little more of a search, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, on one thing that I found is I was watching trailers for this movie, and like I feel like this movie has some really good trailers. That I don't think I watched any of them when I was too young, but I watched them now and I was like, oh man, some of these are really cool trailers.
Nice. I'll have to go check some of them out. I think I've seen Revenge of the Sith's trailer and Return of the Jedi's, where they like edited the lightsaber to not reveal that it's green. So they kept it blue because they were saving the reveal. So the trailer has his lightsaber as being blue still, which is funny that they went to all that effort. But I saw the Return of the Jedi one, and I think the Revenge of the Sith one, but I don't think I've seen the trailer for Attack of the Clones or Phantom. I saw the Phantom re-release one trailer that they did, but yeah, I never got to see Attack of the Clones in theater, and I must say, this movie feels like it was made for theaters. It's a big spectacle. There's so much going on in so many of the scenes, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice to see it on the big screen.
Definitely, especially the battles. Like, I'm hoping they'll re-release it for its 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
In what?
Hopefully they will. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, they better.
Yeah, they better.
Yeah. Although for Revenge of the Sith, it's the 20th anniversary for that next year. I'm hoping they release that in the theater because I don't want to wait till its 25th.
Yeah, that would be 2030, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's still a ways away. So, but who knows what they'll do?
Yeah. Well, to be determined, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I really like the Phantom re-release poster that they made. I think it's actually better than the original poster. So I'm very much looking forward to what they would do for an Attack of the Clones poster.
Yeah.
I think it could be really neat.
Yeah, they could do something pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think good trailers are definitely important. But I also think it's interesting because some trailers do such a good job at making a movie look good, but then the movie's not good.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Marvel movies, the trailers would look good. Like I remember thinking the Ant-Man movie, the newer one, looked really good. And I thought the movie was so bad. The
Ant-Man 3?
Yeah, Ant-Man 3.
I haven't watched it.
yeah, the editing on the trailer made it look really good, but the movie was just terrible. So what those editors manage to do for trailers and chopping up movies is sometimes incredibly impressive, especially if they don't have a good project to work with. So props to them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So there's a few interesting things when I was watching the some special features on that. This was the first movie that they did the CGI Yoda.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Puppet and Phantom.
yeah, and they just added that back, later. But yeah, do you which is your favorite? Do you like the Puppet Yoda or do you
I like the Empire Puppet Yoda. I don't
yeah.
like the Phantom Puppet Yoda. It looks horrible.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
looks terrible. I have fondness for the CGI one because we get to see Yoda being a beast, a little gremlin Jedi warrior
Yeah.
doing cool stuff
Yeah.
in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was cool to see Yoda come into his own, catch a lightning bolt and throw it back.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's awesome. We don't want to see a puppet flipping around.
No.
You get to see that in The Mandalorian, and it doesn't look very good.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I've not seen it, so yeah, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. That's one interesting thing about this movie is that it's the first one that they shot digitally on digital film.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe it was also the last film for Star Wars movies that had a VHS release in the US. Because I believe the Revenge of the Sith VHS is only exclusive to the UK. I believe I saw that somewhere, which means that Phantom and Attack of the Clones. I have the Phantom VHS, and I know Attack of the Clones had one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's interesting that it was kind of the end of an era in two senses, out
True.
with traditional film, and in with the digital film, and then out with VHS and onto DVDs.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see some comments. What do we got? We got a disagree. I think Attack of the Clones is amazing. Okay.
I agree too.
Yeah. All right. What's your ranking of the novelizations, Quinlan Voss?
For all 6 novelizations, that's a hard one. I would say Revenge of the Sith. You can't argue with it being the first one because there's just so much new stuff, and Matthew Stover does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Revenge of the Sith is 1. I'd say maybe Attack of the Clones might be 2. It might be. Attack of the Clones might be 2. Next, I'd put maybe the original Star Wars: A New Hope at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi 5, and Empire at 6. I did not like. I think his name's Donald Glut.
I think so.
Yeah, Donald F. Glut. I did not like his prose very much. What's your ranking of the 6 novelizations? Did you do a video on it?
Maybe, but
sounds mildly familiar. I've watched several of your rankings and don't remember that one yet.
I think I have, but yeah, it's Revenge of the Sith, obviously. And then yeah, Attack of the Clones, A New Hope, Phantom Menace, and then yeah, Return and Empire.
Same rank? Yeah. That's funny.
I found A New Hope's very interesting because it's very different than the movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Cammy, we've got a lot of deleted scenes depicted in there as well.
Yeah.
Elaboration on Tuskens.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pretty cool stuff in there.
Yeah. There's more squadrons that attack the Death Star.
That's true. I forgot about that detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's mentions to Luke's pets as well in there.
Yeah.
A little bit more grief shown by Luke about Owen and Beru than in the film. He thinks about that longer. He introduces Leia to Biggs in the film, in the book, where he introduces them, and it feels more special, I think, in the novels version. because it feels more like they're old friends. I definitely agree with you. I think A New Hope's by far the best of all of those original novelizations,
Yeah.
and it predates the film, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
That it does. You know, a whole year before. It's pretty great. Well, months, but 1976. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Interesting. It's definitely an interesting read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels very old. It feels very old.
Yeah.
But really interesting.
Yeah. 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 And it's just like the with the Ralph McQuarrie concept art. If you look at the A New Hope stuff, it's very different. Like you can see some of like what would become, but then then you see the concept art for the later films, and it's
the cover too for the original 1976, like you said, with the McQuarrie art, you know.
Yeah.
Chewie looking way different, of course, than the
Weird.
droids and Vader, you know.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. I did a video about this. Soon to be a spectacular motion picture from 20th Century Fox. A world without Star Wars. It blows my mind, you know?
Yeah, I know.
So crazy.
Yeah. Man. All right. Let's see, I think I've covered most of the things about Attack of the Clones. Is there anything else you would want to bring up?
One thing that I was thinking about is R4 is the first astromech droid outside of R2. Well, we saw some in I guess we saw in R5. We saw Skippy in A New Hope, but then we also saw several random droids with R2 in Phantom. But R4 was the first time we got like a main astromech outside of R2D2, and he's red.
Yeah,
I like red more than blue, so it was really cool to see R4 in the film with Obi-Wan. I thought they had a cool dynamic, a cool little dynamic going, which is stripped away immediately by those cursed buzz droids in Revenge
he
of the
Sith. Decapitated.
I know, it's gory.
Yeah.
He was such a good little droid too.
Yeah, did his job. Yeah.
I liked R4.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to a faithful astromech, huh?
Yep. Yeah. And that's one thing, you know, Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, the arrowhead.
Yes.
I like that ship design. It's nice and sleek and
the Azure Angel in Gendy Tartakovsky's kind of copies its look. But
yeah, definitely modified, which
the Naboo starship as well.
Yes.
Pretty sleek looking. It's very royal looking. I kind of like it.
I like it too. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. I also like Zam Wessel's ship too. I think that looks cool. I always thought that was an interesting design.
And Django's ship as well.
Slave One.
Yeah, Slave One. The original
blue version.
Yeah. The OG.
Slave One.
Yeah.
Yep. That's got a nice sound design to that.
Yeah. It was a good ship. It was solid, and the weaponry that we saw that it was capable of in the scene through the asteroid belt was just epic. When I thought back about the Naboo starship, the royal like silvery design, when they get back to Tatooine, I always forget that Watto's there, and they've made him age a couple years. He's got a new stylish hat, probably to cover some hair loss, but
maybe
you never know. But it was kind of cool to see him again, and he seemed to care about Anakin, which I thought was so interesting. I didn't get that vibe before in Phantom, so I thought that was a neat detail.
Yeah. Watto's an interesting alien, you know.
Yeah.
Toydarians.
Yeah, plump little fairies, basically.
Yeah.
Plump little
elephant noses.
Yeah.
They're
very interesting looking. We also got the Lars family in this. Finally elaborating on that Obi-Wan Owen is not Obi-Wan's brother, as some people thought, and that he's also not Anakin's brother, as other people thought in the EU, but he's rather kind of a step sibling, I guess, in a way. But I didn't think that Uncle Owen or Aunt Beru were very good they're younger actors. They didn't really have a lot of time to be that much in the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. They're always kind
Yeah.
of there. But I thought Clea Glars was really good. I thought he was
Yeah.
pretty cool. He,
Yeah.
he,
Well,
he was just a awesome dude who went out to try to get his wife back and got his legs cut off. But it seemed
yeah.
pretty cool
Man, them Tusken Raiders, they're brutal.
for sure.
Yeah.
He was the only one who got back from the search party, I think he said. Yeah.
I believe he said 4.
4 got
4 of
back.
us. Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot, those are still not good odds.
Yeah, that's true. And do they all look like him? Are they all missing a leg or an arm?
They're all just they're all just permanently amputees after the Tusken run-in.
Yeah.
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 It was kind of interesting because we'd never seen in Star Wars before someone who needed like a wheelchair. So it's kind of cool to see a depiction of that in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
That's really the only character that comes to mind in the original 6.
Yeah.
Cool to see in a galaxy far, far away how how they can use their kind of advanced tech to maybe make that a little bit more manageable to live with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a couple more comments about Clone Wars 2003, which I wholeheartedly agree with, which we kind of talked about earlier, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It's
that
a
Gendy
great
Tartakovsky
follow-up.
stuff is great.
Perfect bridge between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, too.
Yeah. Does a really good job.
Yeah.
General Grievous is actually menacing in that.
He's actually a threat.
Yeah.
Salvage Ventress was pretty cool in that, too.
Yeah.
There's so many great moments in Clone Wars 2003. It's amazing. Truly amazing.
Yep. Kit Fisto.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Stacey Tin, too.
Oh, yeah.
With the starship.
In space and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just great. Volvif Mon. Gotta love that dude.
Is that the werewolf guy?
Yeah, the werewolf dude. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta love him. Who was also at the Battle of Geonosis, we're told.
Oh, cool.
He was there, the EU says. So that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
We also don't know his fate. So maybe he survived Order 66. I mean, hey, it's an impressive resume if you survived the Battle of Geonosis and Order 66 and the Jedi Purge that followed. Now that would be impressive.
Yep. That would be quite the resume.
Quite the resume. Yeah. An absolutely padded stat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. There's a Dooku's Solar Sailor. That's a
cool vessel as well.
Yeah. It's got a sail, which you don't really see in Star Wars.
Yeah. It's very one of its kind. It's actually, I'm a big Star Trek fan as well. Don't shoot me or kick me from the stream, please. But no, I'm just kidding. But in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there's a ship that's very similar that's like powered through space with the sail. So when I saw that in Deep Space Nine, I was like, oh, it's like Dooku's ship, even though it came out before. So it was pretty neat to see. One thing that makes Attack of the Clones really good is I'm not a Jar Jar hater, but the lack of Jar Jar in Attack of the Clones was at least pleasant on the listening ears, at least for me.
Yeah. At least he's not doing any like weird bumbling around or.
Yes, he's actually more useful.
Yeah, well, at least helps give Palpatine emergency powers, so he's at least partially to blame for some of that stuff.
Because as we know, Darth Plagueis had a secret apprentice, Darth Jar Jar. So we know that's true. It's canon.
Yep.
Rodimus asked what our favorite fight is from Attack of the Clones. Is it Dooku versus Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan, or Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan? I feel that the Dooku versus Anakin and Obi-Wan is a separate fight.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I kind of think that Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku is better. And then I'd put the Yoda Dooku. But the Jango Fett Obi-Wan scene is so good, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to choose. What do you think?
Well, I probably would go with Obi-Wan and Jango, just because Personally, I felt like the Dooku and Anakin Obi-Wan one was it's a little bit too much of just a close up of their face where there's flashing lights
That's
on it,
true.
which that doesn't look very impressive to me. Um, but yeah, so that's probably how I would rank it. Is yeah, the Obi-Wan Jango, and then probably Yoda and Dooku, and then Dooku
Obi-Wan,
and Obi-Wan.
Anakin.
Yeah,
I think I'd go. If I had to go one way, I'd go Obi-Wan, Anakin, Dooku, then Obi-Wan, Jango, just because I love Ewan McGregor Jango, and his haircut's amazing in this movie.
yeah,
And then finally, Yoda Dooku would be last.
yeah,
I think, of the three.
yeah.
Is there any
Yeah.
other combat sequences like hand to hand in this? I mean, kind of Mace Windu versus Django with the
Yeah.
Reek.
Is
Kind
that
of.
really combat though? I mean, Django doesn't have a chance.
No, he doesn't. It would have been cool if he had like gauntlets that he could like
Yeah,
deflect a little bit,
yeah. Extend that fight just a little bit to maybe.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I will say that the Yoda and Sidious fight in Revenge of the Sith that's probably the best
Where he's
Yoda
hurling
action.
chairs at Yoda.
Yeah,
That seems
Yeah.
crazy. He's like
Yeah.
crawling out. When
Yeah.
he enters and just pulls the guards back. Oh, that was so
Yep.
cool.
yeah,
Size matters not, as we know.
yeah. That's good stuff.
Totally.
But we are not here to discuss Revenge of the Sith right now.
That's
But,
true.
yeah. Let's see. Anything else?
I think that's about all that I can think of Attack of the Clones. I mean, I don't really want to talk too much about the romance because I just don't think it's done very well.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
immortal line is "I hate sand. Its course it's dry and it gets everywhere."
Yep.
He
Oh,
was spitting facts there, though.
true.
I dislike going to the beach and getting sand all over the car or my clothes. It's
Yeah.
not a
I'm-
fun time.
I'm not much of a beach person, so like sand
Me
is
neither.
like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're with Anakin. It seems
Yeah. Yeah.
up into the part where he murders a family of Tuscans. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing we neglected to mention is the music.
Oh, true. The music.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Gotta talk about.
some good score. All the scores for the Star Wars movies are amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing's like Duel of the Fates level or Imperial March level, but I think the best music in this is the romance music. Actually,
Yeah.
As
Across
funny
the
as it
Stars.
yes, the do 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 do. That's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
That is iconic. The wedding scene at the end, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
It is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is specifically for Attack of the Clones?
I mean, Anakin loses a hand, and does he lose a whole leg?
Not yet.
No,
Just a hand.
Just a
Just
hand.
an arm.
It's Obi-Wan who gets stabbed through the leg.
Yeah.
Injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets
Yeah.
the gold-plated hand at the end for the wedding scene, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's all I remember about it. But is there any other musical scores that you thought were good in it?
There's
I
the
can't
music
remember
that plays
music.
during the bounty hunter chase.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
very fast tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
pretty good.
vibe there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Across the Stars is
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
Across the Stars might be a top 3 or top 5 Star Wars music piece. Period.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's solid.
Yeah.
Which is funny because those scenes are just terrible, but
Yeah.
the music's it's good.
Yeah. The romance is better than the novel. Yep.
That's true.
Yep. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I've got.
Same. Attack of the Clones, good movie, I think. Oh, what
Yeah,
did
it's
you
pretty-
think about the clone design as opposed to like Stormtrooper design? I thought it looked really good as like a prelude. to the
Yeah,
design of the
it's pretty
armor.
good. Well, I like clones over stormtroopers, so you know
Same.
I really like the design. So
Phase
although
one
I
or phase two? Do you like the transition? Because I'm a phase one guy.
phase two,
Phase two guy? Nice.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But it's a logical transition too. It
yeah.
makes sense
I think
aesthetically.
they do a good job of kind of showing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
pretty good stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. All right. Well, thanks for everyone tuning in to this stream. It's been fun. Thank you
Well,
to Quinlan Voss or Brennan for showing up. And yeah,
thanks for having me on. It was fun to be
yeah,
here and talk about this film. I really enjoyed this one. So it was
yeah.
a good
You're
time.
more than welcome to come to the Revenge of the Sith one, and
Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
did. That'll be about May,
Okay.
sometime in
Sounds
May.
good.
All right. So well, all right.
After that, are we going through are we gonna do the original trilogy, the holiday special, perhaps?
Uh,
Or
Definitely the original trilogy, the holiday special. No, no.
Yeah, that's most Star Wars fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you. And yeah, see you next time.
Bye.